The following is an exclusive presentation of Optimum. We're your TV, phone, and internet company.
A first-term Assemblyman is working on civil service reform. That's next on Meet the Leaders. Hello, I'm Dallas Grove for Meet the Leaders. District 16 Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli represents a much-changed district than his predecessor, Assemblyman Peter Biondi, knew. Now covering parts of 4 counties. Use of shared services is growing, but he says more needs to be done. Welcome.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
This is your first term here, and it's really good to know you.
Same here.
Okay. You first went to the state legislature to fill in the unexpired term of Peter Biondi. Is that so?
I did, because the late Assemblyman died 2 days after the election in November of 2011. So that meant that there was 1 month left in that term. So I got a 1 month head start.
Right, and then you were had been elected already, so so you started your first term.
That's right,
in January.
That's right. Senator Bateman, Assemblyman Biondi, and myself all won that November of 2011, all to be sworn in January. So when January did come around, I was sworn into the office I had won the previous November.
So you got to know people a little bit.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah. What was your experience in the legislature, having been a councilman in both Raritan and Hillsborough?
I was a 2-term councilman in Raritan Borough in the early 1990s. Took some time off from politics to start a business. Then I served 5 years, 1 term and 2 years, on the Freeholder Board in Somerset County. And it was that time when redistricting happened and a spot opened up on the ticket. And so I had the opportunity and privilege to run with Senator Bateman and Assemblyman Biondi, and we were fortunate enough to win. So I do think serving at the local level is a great advantage to anyone who becomes a legislator, a real advantage.
To know what the nuts and bolts are at that level and what they're really dealing with on the local level.
First of all, as a state legislator, I think that you garner greater respect from your peers who are serving at the local and county level when they know that you've been through it. The second thing is that you learn at the local and county level the different obstacles that are in place that kind of prevent us from being more efficient in delivering our government services. And that's become my focus as a legislator.
And you're always blamed for the high property taxes too. Usually comes down to the local government, and sometimes their hands are tied.
You know, the thing about property taxes, I'll never forget, I was campaigning door to door, and someone came to the door and said they were very upset about their property taxes being high. And the local candidate said, "Don't blame me, it's the school's fault." And the legislator at the time said, "You know, don't blame me, it's the other party's fault." The fact of the matter is we're all responsible at all levels for why property taxes are high in New Jersey.
And where do you think that responsibility lies? What are some of the problems?
I think you have a great many local officials that aren't bold enough and don't want to educate their citizenry on different delivery systems. I think that you have a number of legislators that we just have not been attentive enough to the changes that could be made that would give local officials more leeway in how to deliver their services. So it's across the board, and it's why we have the highest property taxes in the nation. But the good news is we're experiencing the smallest increases in property taxes in New Jersey in 17 years, and the 2% property tax cap has a lot to do with that.
It certainly does. As a county freeholder, you were a director too, the director of the Freeholder Board, and you saw a lot. Would you say the county is more efficient as a service deliverer?
I believe very, very strongly in county government. County government in New Jersey is the only regional service provider. Of all the various governments we have in New Jersey, county government's the only regional service provider. I really don't think it's any accident either that all of our neighboring states have lower property taxes, and it is the counties who are the predominant provider of municipal-like services. So this notion of 565 towns all going alone, at one point in time that served its purpose, and that was the most efficient way, but no longer. And so what I campaigned on when I was first running for freeholder was, in Somerset County, we have 19 police departments, and all of them are doing a great job. But that doesn't mean that we need 19 police departments. Is there not another way to improve the service, improve a great service at less cost? And we did a study that shows there was. But people just aren't ready just yet, especially local elected officials.
In Camden County, they started to regionalize some of the police functions, and maybe that will serve as a template or something too.
We hope so. I think there's another template out there that I'm very proud to say is in my district. I didn't have anything to do with this historic accomplishment, but the two Princetons have combined.
Right.
Princeton Township surrounded Princeton Borough, and over the past 50 years they had attempted this 2 or 3 times before, but this time it was unanimously approved, overwhelmingly approved rather, by the voters of both municipalities, and the two Princetons have now become one, and the annual savings are close to $3 million. Mm-hmm. That's an historic accomplishment.
It is. I understand now they're going to have some garbage pickup, a new system for that, which will cost more. That kind of cuts down the figure, but it started $3 million savings.
And a large part of the savings is being generated by the efficiencies of one combined police department. Mm-hmm. But there's also personal savings in the sense that now garbage collection is provided by the municipality throughout the new municipality. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the case before. People were not only paying their property taxes, they were paying a private hauler to take away their garbage. Mm-hmm. That's not the case today. So that's a model. We have a number of donut holes around the state. There's another one in my district. Flemington is surrounded by Raritan Township.
Yes.
And we hope that the Princeton accomplishment serves as a platform and model for other municipalities to give serious consideration to.
You mentioned that's your only town, the Princetons. I call them the Princetons. We'll just have to call it Princeton,
now,
right?
It's just Princeton.
Yes,
It's
right.
not borough of, it's not township of, it's just Princeton.
Princeton, yeah, new logo and everything. So that's your only town in Mercer County.
It is.
And your only town in Middlesex County is South Brunswick.
South Brunswick.
And the rest is divided between Hunterdon County and Somerset County.
That's right.
So it's quite different than when you were administering through the Freeholder Board. Yeah.
Very much. And it's very, very different from the old 16th district.
Yeah.
That Denise Coyle, Peter Biondi, and Kip Bateman were the delegation for. Mm-hmm. The old 16th was primarily all of Somerset County. So the new 16th is very different. It's very dynamic. 5 Hunterdon County towns, mm-hmm. 7 southern Somerset County towns, and then we go 1 town south into Princeton, to Mercer, and then to the east, 1 town in Middlesex County, South Brunswick. It's very, very diverse.
So you've had a background, as we said, in Raritan Township. You were
Raritan Borough.
Excuse me, Raritan Borough. Raritan Townships in Hunterdon
That's right.
County. We're funny like that in New Jersey, aren't we?
Well, I think we have 6 Washington Townships. So
yes. So you were a councilman there in Raritan Borough.
I was.
And then now in Hillsborough, you moved there. You lived there for 37 years?
Actually, I lived in Raritan for 37 years.
And here 15 years.
Right, and the last 15 years in Hillsborough Township, where my wife and I are raising our 4 children.
Tell us about your children.
This is my even year, 18, 16, 14, and 12.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
Alexa, Jake, Anthony, who we call AJ, and then Matthew. And they and my wife make enormous sacrifices to make my public service possible, and I'm very, very appreciative.
Well, you have more public service than just being in the Assembly right now, although you had to give up the freeholder's spot, but you have your coaching for, are you still doing that?
Oh, very much. We have playoff games this week with my daughter's softball team. So I coach her softball. I coach my son's Little League. The great thing about the other 2 boys is they participate in lacrosse and cross country, and I just get to sit and watch.
So you have a lot on your plate.
I do, but I'm very, very fortunate in the private sector.
Tell us about the job you hold. You also have a job, of course.
I do. I have my own company, and this is my second go-around. I consider myself an entrepreneur. I've been involved in medical publishing for over 20 years, and it's been very, very good to me. And it has afforded me the time that one needs to fulfill the duties of their public office.
Right. But your background actually was in finance and accounting. So what was the leap to publishing?
You've done your homework.
Yeah.
I'm an MBA CPA, and I loved it academically. I love both as a discipline. I did not enjoy them as a professional. I did not enjoy them in practice. Mm-hmm. The silver lining was that the last accounting firm I worked at, the largest client was a medical publisher, and I was responsible for the annual audit. So I got to know that company extremely well. Mm-hmm. I got to know them financially, operationally, got to know the ownership real well. And when I learned that they were expanding their sales force one year, I asked for an opportunity in marketing. And once I learned the marketing part of it, things kind of took off for me.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. What did your parents think of that? They educated you as a math guy.
You know, it's a very, very interesting question because my father loved so dearly that I was a CPA. He had passed away before I'd made that career move. And you know, it's an interesting question because I don't know if I would have made the career move if my father was alive, because he
was
probably
so
would have
proud of
broken
you.
his heart
Yeah.
that I had trained so hard to be a CPA. But
He
Mom,
must have noticed that you were a people person, though.
I think so. You know, I very much take after my mom and dad, and my mom has always been, as my father was, very, very supportive.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the legislation that you've been able to put forward and hope for passage. Okay, so don't go away.
Great.
Hurricane Sandy brought unthinkable devastation to our Garden State. Homes, businesses, and state treasures were destroyed, but our spirit wasn't. That's why Chris and I are asking you to join us in supporting communities affected by the storm. They need our help, and we must act now. Please visit sandynjrelieffund.org so we can start rebuilding New Jersey together. Thank you for your generosity.
Shelters are the best places to find a new pet.
What a perfectly beautiful little lady.
That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals.
You little rascal.
Eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet.
Oh, ladies first.
Be that person. Adopt.
This is living. Hey, kid.
To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org. If you're looking for a new pet that your family will cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
You can say with me, imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child.
So let's join hands, book people unite. Unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time. One book can be the first little thing that helps to change a life. Book people unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Okay. We're back with District 16 Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli, and we were talking about your district for a while. It's part of 4 counties, but even within that, there's some very good employment numbers in your district, beating the national and the state numbers handily.
Yes. I mean, the district is very, very diverse. Somerset and Huntington counties always rank in the top 5 in the country in terms of affluence measured on a per capita basis. And so when you factor in South Brunswick as one town in Middlesex County, has a very, very well-educated citizenry, and Princeton does as well. And typically, the more educated people are, the lower the unemployment numbers. So we're very, very fortunate to have in our district a great many folks who are well-educated and less affected by recessions like we saw over the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. And then, of course, your concern also reaches out to those who've been more affected.
Oh, you bet. I mean,
Yeah.
we're on that job every single day, so we're doing everything we can to make the region as attractive as possible, working with the regional Chamber of Commerce's, county government, and various state agencies to make sure the region is attractive as possible to as many potential employers as possible. But you know, one of the things I want to touch upon is what always gets a lot of press is our efforts to attract new business, and certainly that is critically important. But let's not forget the employers that have been here for years that provide a certain stability as well. So paying attention to their needs, and that's something I concentrate on very much too. Making sure that employers that have been here for a while are not neglected or forgotten, because the stability they provide is important to the economic vibrancy of our region as well.
Yeah, we've seen some major ones start to either move out of state or to different counties, and that's always a problem. We wonder what we could do to keep them here.
There's an ebb and flow to economics. There's an ebb and flow to finance. There are some companies that are on the come. There are other companies or industries that are maturing.
Yeah.
And so we've seen that over and over again. If you look back at the history, for example, of Somerset County, at one time telecommunications dominated.
Yes.
In the old days of AT&T and Ma Bell and the like. And as that changed, pharmaceutical industry kind of replaced it in Somerset County. So there's always that next grade industry that kind of takes the place of maybe the one before and being a predominant stabilizing factor within the region.
As much as you're concerned for the public sector, the private sector, you have also concerns for the public sector in terms of expanding shared services among towns. Big thing, and it's been a big thing in Somerset County with the Somerset County Business Partnership. Yeah, they've been a moving force, and all things that keep Somerset County kind of moving along.
You bet. The Somerset County Business Partnership is a hybrid chamber of commerce that is subsidized by county government and works in close partnership with county government planners to make sure that Somerset County stays intellectually vibrant, culturally vibrant, economically vibrant. It's been a huge success. And so one of the many things that they championed was sharing of services. And over a 20-year period did a magnificent job of making sure the municipalities were talking with the business community about how best to leverage all of our institutional resources to save money. And they did a magnificent job. And what I like very much about what they're doing now is they're not resting on their laurels. They realize that we have picked all of the low-hanging fruit, and now they're reaching for the fruit that would provide even greater savings.
And where do you see those greater savings coming from?
Certainly with respect to the consolidation of services. And again, one of the things that made me so passionate about running for county freeholder is the role that county government can play in regionalizing the delivery of services. County government has a very, very strong track record of that, particularly in Somerset.
And you would know that, having sat on the board, you've been in municipal.
And participated at the local level when I was a borough councilman. So the areas that we've taken a close look at in Somerset County is not necessarily the consolidation of municipalities, but the consolidation of police services, construction code enforcement, tax assessment. Those are three examples that have all been looked at very, very closely.
And now the Princetons in Mercer County did a bang-up job after being two municipalities. We talked about them being the donut hole. The borough was the donut hole.
Yep.
Do you see much more consolidation going by, or is it the donut holes that will? When I say the donut hole, I mean the smaller municipality surrounded by the larger municipality.
Wherever there's a donut hole, it makes perfect sense to do the analysis. When you take a historical perspective on other municipalities that may not have the donut hole situation, but for example, Scotch Plains and Fanwood separated 100 years ago over a sewer issue. So when you look at the historical reasons why there was separation, at one time Middlesex and Somerset County were all one. Their separation came about because the Dutch farmers had a disagreement over farming methods. So there's opportunities there.
It's like the Hatfields and McCoys.
Hatfields and McCoys.
They forget why they were originally mad?
That's right. And so there are plenty of opportunities. What we need are local officials who are willing to step up and say, this is an analysis. It's incumbent upon us to do this analysis. And I think what we need in the legislature are the removal of some of the hurdles that exist.
Okay, well, we'll take a break, and then we will go specifically to the answers that you have concerning shared services. Don't go away.
This is one amazing truffula tree. Can you imagine a place where these grow everywhere? Yes, it's called the forest, a magical place to enjoy with your family. Ooh. So discover the forest and explore all the wonder that's there. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
We're back with District 16 Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli, and we were talking about shared services. It's a kind of a passion of yours, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, and you have offered at least 2-3 bills dealing with that for the legislators' concern. One has to do with sharing health care services or health department services. Is that because it's an easier one to do?
Well, I've sponsored 2 bills. One deals in the area of the health departments, the other deals in the area of tax assessment. Dallas, there are many laws, excuse me, that are on our books that were meant to protect people from political patronage, nepotism.
Civil service laws.
Civil service laws, tenure laws that are on the books. If you're the tax assessor for Town A and you're doing a great job and I'm the new mayor, I shouldn't be allowed to just replace you with my friend, my cousin, my this or my that. So these laws have their purpose. However, these laws were not put on the books to prevent towns from delivering a more efficient service to their taxpayers, a less costly service to their taxpayers. So what these bills do is say, if you regionalize this way, municipalities, those civil service and tenure rules will not apply. Many times it's the civil service laws and the tenure laws that are on the books that are preventing towns from being more efficient in joining together to deliver their services.
Because the person is prohibited from either changing a job or being put in another department, or how does that actually work?
Well, let me give you one example. There are 9 towns in Somerset and Hunterdon County that have a part-time tax assessor position. In these particular 9 towns, the same person holds those 9 part-time jobs. One person holds 9 part-time jobs, which is to suggest that if one person could be the tax assessor in 9 towns, one full-time person could do the job for all 9 towns. So there are rules on the books, again, from a tenure standpoint and civil service standpoint, that get in the way from those towns regionalizing that service. So, by the way, I mean no disrespect to the one person that holds those 9 part-time jobs.
It's just the system.
His aggregate salary is $360,000.
Because he collects from each town?
Because he collects a part-time salary from 9 different towns. So again, civil service and tenure have their place.
What is that place?
Well, there is no place for nepotism and political patronage if someone is doing their job. However, when municipalities are looking to streamline their operations and leverage economies of scale and provide an equal quality of service at significantly less cost and have civil service and tenure rules get in the way, that's not right.
And so what your bill proposes then is it to do away with civil service, or is it just to allow some flexibility in there?
What it says is for municipal Department of Health workers and for municipal tax assessment professionals, if your town is going to the county to have that service delivered, or if your town is partnering with other towns to regionalize the service through what is referred to as a joint meeting, all bets are off and the civil service and the tenure doesn't apply.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if the superseding agency doesn't have civil service and you're combining with that, then you would not be working under civil service.
Even if the superseding agency is in a county or an area where there is civil service, the civil service rules wouldn't come into play. So for example, in Somerset County, we have municipal Department of Healths. And those municipalities would like to join the county Department of Health because it's just as good, if not better, at less cost. There are no economies of scale to take advantage of because the laws right now are that if that municipality joins the county Department of Health, the county has to take every one of those municipal Department of Health employees.
So where's the savings?
So where's the savings? And I want to be clear, I'm not someone that celebrates people being out of work. However, we have an obligation to streamline our operations, and we can't do that while certain laws stay on the books.
How would the protections still be there?
Certainly those employees that the new agency decides to take because they've interviewed and they decide these are the employees that we'd like to have become part of our county Department of Health, or part of our joint meeting Department of Health, or part of our joint meeting tax assessment. We're going to take the very best employees, but we should not be forced to take every single one of your employees.
Okay, so where do your bills stand right now?
Right now, we're advocating for them to be heard in committee.
Another reform is to allow towns, well, we talked about the tax assessor,
Right.
and I'm familiar with that kind of situation where the tax assessors, multiple towns.
Right.
And another bill has to do with unemployment benefits. I know that you have quite a position on that also.
You know, one of the things I feel very, very strongly about is that I believe government has to be there for people, especially when they're in need. At the same time, citizens have a responsibility not to be a burden to their community and not to depend on government if they don't necessarily have to. Unemployment benefits is one example. New Jersey is one state, unlike others around the country, where you can collect unemployment benefits even if you're receiving full severance. Now, if a company is generous enough to offer someone a full severance program when that person's been downsized, I think the responsible thing to do is to not receive unemployment benefits while you're on full severance. You've lost your job, but you haven't lost your pay. We're not saying you won't get your 26 weeks of unemployment benefits. You'll begin to get your 26 weeks of unemployment benefits when your severance runs out. The notion of collecting unemployment benefits while also on full severance pay seems terribly wrong, unfair, and irresponsible to me.
And that would also mean that they could still collect unemployment. You're emphasizing that they could still collect unemployment when the severance runs out.
When the severance runs out.
And you're talking about full severance.
Full severance, that's right.
So that bill is in the hopper also, I
It is.
understand.
We're advocating for the chair of the Labor Committee to please post that bill for
We
discussion.
just have a minute left, but I wanted to say that Peter Biondi is being honored in Hillsborough by the Route 206 bypass, and that's something that makes you very happy.
It really does. This is altogether fitting and perfectly appropriate. Pete is known as Mr. Hillsborough. Hillsborough meant everything to him. He left an indelible imprint upon the town, and he advocated fervently for the bypass because he knew what it meant to Hillsborough's quality of life and its long-term downtown vision plan.
Okay, well, thank you very, very much. Nice
Thank
to
you,
meet
Dallas.
you.
Great to be here.
And the best of luck to you. Okay, I would like to thank our guests for being with us on this edition of Meet the Leaders. We'll see you next time with a leader from your community. I'm Dallas Grove. Good night.
Born in Joplin, Missouri, was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year, 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 110. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism.
Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.